Welcome back on yellow stage of AgileByExample. This is the last speech before lunch break, and this speech will be held by K.Hałaszkiewicz and Tomasz Kornaś. Welcome you on the stage.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Karolina is an Agile lead and coach at U2E LCC. She combines Agile practices with psychology to transform groups into high-performing, autonomous teams, delivering business results faster and without burnout. Tomasz is a head of engineer at Ocado Technology. He is a psychologist working in tech, probably as the result believes in the power of organization culture as most important element of every IT organization. Together they experience with breaking structures because they believe this is the future of organization who wants to achieve competitive advantages. In their talk, they will share their experience with implementation of self-organization framework they called Hive. So the stage is yours, Karolina.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Hi, my name is Tomek.
And hello, everyone. I'm Karolina, and we are super happy to be here with you today. The story we will share with you is about how we broke the structures of our organizations to actually fix them.
Yeah, the whole story started in 2018 when I faced the biggest challenge in my professional life. My team was supposed to disappear within 1 year, and the product that the team was developing was about to be replaced by the new one, right? So obviously, people realized that everything they built during this period of time will go basically to the bin. And as you can imagine, it was extremely discouraging for them. The purpose of their work was questionable. Morale dropped heavily, and I started observing symptoms of decreasing motivation and performance, and it happened really, really fast. So being responsible for my teams and for the business, I started thinking how to fix it. How can I make their work more meaningful or maybe even fun again? And there are probably many different ways one could try to do this. I could do some pep talks. I could be talking about responsibility, convincing people that it still makes sense. I could even pay them more for this period of time. And some leaders would do this, but personally, I don't believe those measures could work long term. And I hope you'll think the same, otherwise you won't be here on Agile conference, right? So the problem to solve here, as you can see, is the lack of purpose. And when you think about the purpose in the context of motivation, there is something obvious that kicks in. It is book everyone knows, hopefully, Drive by Daniel Pink, and the three components of the motivation, of building motivation: purpose, autonomy, and mastery. So going from there, I started thinking along those lines. Maybe I could approach all of these factors from a slightly different perspective. And that's what I came up with. In terms of autonomy, I thought, let's not restrict the autonomy to the small cross-functional 7 ± 2 teams, right? How about expanding them? How about expanding autonomy? In terms of mastery, let's create an environment where people get to choose what they master. Allow people to choose the mentor they'd like to work with on a real initiative and the role they would like to play in the initiative. Initiative, project, feature, capability, whatever you call it in your organization. And the purpose, let people choose the initiative. They will find it more meaningful. Research shows that people who find their work meaningful to them are more motivated. They are more engaged, and they are more likely to achieve better performance. And that was the starting point. After like hours of discussions with the whole team and hours of preparations, we came up with a model of work based on above principles. We call it the hive model because just like a beehive, it is always moving. Okay, so let me present you the model in a nutshell. First, there are no longer small cross-functional teams, but one big 60 people team. No boundaries in this big team. Second, when the initiative starts, it is presented to everyone. And I mean to everyone in the whole 60 people team. Another one, everyone is free to decide if they want to join the new initiative, and anyone can leave the initiative at any time. The only thing they need to do before joining or leaving the initiative is to justify the decision. They need to listen to the feedback from the team on the decision. However, no one else can change it. So it's still their decision what they are going to do. In the second implementation, Karolina structured this part of the model. After this iteration, the decision basically comes down to answering 3 questions known as the core questions of the Hive model. Where do I bring the most value? What is driving me the most? What do I need? And where is my responsibility? Do I leave something behind? Karolina will elaborate on those questions later. And the last rule, which is kind of meta rule, it's very important, says that everyone can change the model if they believe that something goes wrong. So we gather every week, discuss proposed changes, vote, and that's it. It's official now. It's part of the model. We've just changed the model. In short, we observe, discuss, and adapt in weekly cycles every week. What do you think? Sounds crazy, even scary. Yeah, it's probably because giving the team so much freedom is uncomfortable for many managers. But in reality, that's the difference between the lead/manager and agile leader, in my opinion. An agile leader is not afraid of losing control. Instead, they create a system in which control is not required anymore. Did everything go well with this implementation? Absolutely not. The final version of our model after months of working was very different from what we started with. But the core principles remained untouched. The core principles I talked about earlier. And the whole experiment was actually so successful that I decided to brag about it during the front-end conference in 2019.
And this is where my story begins, right after that conference and that speech. Back then, I was looking for something that would help me to maximize the value that we bring to the business, that my team brings to the business. At the same time, something that would help me to keep my teammates within the team, but not only to keep them, but to keep them happy and growing. Soon I realized that the Hive model was a perfect match. A perfect match to what me and my teammates, my colleagues were challenged with, what we were hoping to achieve. And it was a perfect match also to the way we operated so far, to the culture that we had in our company. We had 3 goals in mind. First one was to maximize, to boost our agility. We wanted to maximize it on a bigger scale outside of already performing teams. And I mean the mindset. I don't mean many practices and tools that are already offered by scaling frameworks. We also wanted to adapt faster and better with our expertise to the business needs, to our clients, simply because we wanted to maximize the value that we deliver to the end users even more. And last but not least, we wanted to fight stagnation. In a project that was running already for over a decade, we were hoping to find a new flow of opportunities, new roles, new initiatives, new incentives for personal growth, and actually those that would be matched with personal ambitions. Before the model was applied, before the Hive model, before the transformation, we had a fixed number of stable teams with similar amount of people. We kept the initiatives in the backlog, and whenever a team was available, we would just give them the one that was next in line. Of course, we were checking the skills matrices and all other tools to make sure that we have some sort of match between the initiatives. And that made sense at the time, as all our teams were highly skilled and cross-functional. However, the truth is that we often felt stuck with projects not entirely matching our preferences only because we were available at the time. And of course, we had tools and practices to rotate between the teams, but they were too slow and too heavy. And even with rotation options, people were still afraid that they would get stuck again. After the transformation, after transforming into the Hive model, we are operating with as many teams as we currently need. All of them are created quickly on business demand. Some teams are smaller, some teams are bigger. Some work for a couple of weeks, some will serve the purpose for a couple of months. But most importantly, people are the ones who decide what to work on, no one else. They match their expertise with their preference in order to maximize the value that we bring to the business. What we did was we shifted our focus from few cross-functional agile teams into a one big agile Hive. And as Tomek mentioned, my implementation and that iteration introduced the core 3 questions about value, about drive, and about responsibility. They were already there, but we structured them a bit, and we keep them as a checklist whenever an initiative or a migration happens between the initiatives, between the Hives. They help us structure the model, and they serve the purpose of a guideline. The first question, the question about the value, we get to pick where our unique expertise, knowledge, and experience will be utilized the most. And that question is about securing the business part and about making sure that the work is meaningful. With the second one, with the drive question, we get to choose which initiative is interesting to us the most or fits our needs, our present needs the most. And we get to decide when and how to try ourselves in a new setting, new environment, new role. This is a very interesting question because we no longer ask about the business, but about what makes us happy. And with the last one, with the responsibility question, we get to take ownership over our decisions, fully own them, and be motivated by them. And that's the question that we need to ask in order to do a double check if nothing is put at risk. The model gives us a tool, a framework for a safe match of our drives and motivations with what maximizes the business value. It creates a bridge between people and the business, and it is a platform to meet people's needs at the same time, getting the job done. Since implementing the Hive model within 1 year, the benefits that we are observing are tremendous. But before I dig into details, I would like to mention one more story. Right before the transformation into the Hives model, one of the developers approached me and he said, I want to be a team leader. And I was overjoyed with that info because the team was growing and we needed more leaders. That was simple and obvious to me. But then he said, this is why I will be leaving. I need a smaller project with more comfort to do this new role, to feel safe and secure. Well, that was not fun. As we talked, he realized that the actual safety and the actual security that he was looking for, the actual comfort, is already there. He already knew the tech stack, the client, the domain, the business, and he already had people around him that would support him. So his current project was the perfect match to actually start this initiative. We just needed to make sure that he would be matched with a project that would give him this additional sense of security and comfort. And with Hives being kicked off a few weeks later, we gave him just that. He was able to find a secure spot on a smaller initiative, and with this comfort, start the new journey of being a team lead. We have given similar opportunities to 5 more people, and the number is still growing in roles which they were thinking about or they were hoping to take over, and the Hives gave us just an opportunity like that for them to try. We have delivered 30% more initiatives compared to the whole year 2020, and it's not even the end of this year. We were able to attract 3 new amazing talents with the way things work, and 3 employees that were considering leaving the team have been retained. And we have gathered 100% commitment from everyone to continue working with that model. And what's more, the whole organization is working and thinking towards transforming the entire company into that precise model.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, at the beginning of the whole transformation, I thought that the model itself would be a great achievement and would solve all the problems, right? We're always hoping for that. And it did that to some extent. Motivation grew over the time. People were more focused on the initiatives, were more focused on goals, simply because they had chosen them. After the initial phase of sticking to the old teams, in the comfort zone, they started moving between initiatives, and constant movement energized them. They started working on the topics they wanted to work. They started working with the people they were comfortable with. They changed roles and took new responsibilities, as Karolina said earlier, in my organization as well. After 6 months, when the model was in place, they voted to continue working in this way in both companies. But then we realized that there was something even more important. The model started serving as a vehicle for dealing with the change in a big team. People stopped waiting for someone to tell them what to do when change happened. They started proactively and consciously changing the work environment and ways of working to react to the changes. In other words, they stopped being a cog in the clock, but we became watchmakers, as you can see on the slide.
Yeah, that's a watchmaker. Of course, all of that was hard work, and it took a lot of time. But we would like to encourage you to take those 3 questions for a regular spin in your team and see what happens. Try breaking or liberating your structures a little bit and observe what is happening to your comfort zone or the comfort zone of your teammates. Rethink your scaled agile. Apart from the tools and frameworks and practices that you already know and use, see if you can come up with your own, with a new way to scale the actual mindset, the actual spirit that will fit your organization. And give yourself a moment of truth to see if you can really make room for people's drives and motivations and really put them first. See how it can serve your business. In the long run, you can't really go wrong with any of those. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Karolina. Thank you very much, Tomasz. We are running a little bit out of time, but there was plenty of comments and discussion in the chat. So I think we could stay here for a moment and just answer 1 or 2 questions.
Sure.
So first question was, did you have any initiative in progress limit? In this whole freedom where people could choose the initiative, was the limit
Okay, what was the work in progress? Okay, where's the limit work? That's the beauty of this model. That's the beauty of the model.
Let's say initiative limits.
Yeah, number of initiatives, like number of initiatives are like controlled by the number of people who want to join those initiatives. Then it's perfectly like automatic way of controlling level of work in progress, limit of level in progress.
Okay, so one people could be only in one initiative, yeah?
That's possible. It's not very likely, but it's possible. If all people decide that, like, we want to, like, until it's shipped, it's like, that doesn't bring any value. If 60 people decides that, all right, in 60 people, we can fix it in, develop it in a week instead of half a year in 6 people, then it's worth. And that's limit of work in progress is 1, and it's perfect. If there's space for more initiatives, the work in progress grows automatically. You don't need to control it. It's just like that. We can forget about work in progress. That's the beauty of this model, in my opinion.
Of course, we need to be mindful of the priorities that the business holds. But yeah, it's pretty self-regulatory.
Okay. And the last questions. In your model, if you choose a piece of work, should I finish? Where acceptance criteria stands? Because everybody can switch to the other initiative.
Yes, they can.
Should we finish some piece of work before switching, or should?
So another core part of the model is the importance of responsibility. So you can do whatever you feel is responsible that will maximize the value, that will serve your preferences, but it still needs to be responsible. So if you feel that decision to leave, and if you think that the decision to leave your initiative unfinished will maximize the value, will be your preference, and is the most responsible decision to make, then go for it. But probably it will not be the most responsible decision that you could make. Of course, it needs to be all focused on the things that we need to accomplish, because we know that there are priorities to deliver, right? But yes, if you have good cause for leaving an initiative because you observe that the value that you can bring is bigger somewhere else, or you can help boost some other priority, then this is all a matter of discussion and your autonomous decision.
Okay. So, but the decision should be driven by the value.
Yes.
So, great. Thank you very much. There was much more questions in the chat. So I invite you to join the chat on Slack dedicated to this talk.
Okay.
And then you can continue those interesting conversation.
All right.
And now, thank you very much. And now it's a time for a lunch break. So enjoy your lunch, enjoy your conversation with other participants of the conference now, and came back after the lunch break. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.